this is where we shift our focus when we're talking about desire. We have to change directions. Because if your partner doesn't know what you're experiencing, or if they don't care to fix it, what does that mean for the sexual relationship? So we talked about motivation for sex. Your desires, your motivation. What's so good about this that makes me want to have it? How am I feeling? And so in my practice, I realized that people were talking about a few different things at different stages. Remember I said that desire, in this slide, I said that desire doesn't disappear, it just needs direction. So when people are like, I just lost it, I lost my libido, I'm like, oh my God, let's find it. Where is it under? You didn't lose it. We just need to make a few shifts. You don't lose it. You need to make some shifts. And so there are 3 stages of sex and relationships. And I want to know, how effed are you? When you're sitting here thinking, just like, how effed are you? Let's talk about some of these stages. The first stage is fire. It's one of the F's. Okay, and this is the chemistry stage, lust, excitement. This is urgency. This is when our brains are tricking us. This often happens in the beginning of relationships when we're going through something called limerence, when our brain is telling us that we just need to have sex. Like, all you want to do is have sex, and people are like, oh my God, I'm so in love. This is love at first sight, and it's like, no, your brain is conspiring against you. Know the signs. This is science is happening in your body right now. So fire, this is when you feel that intense attraction and you always want to be on your partner. This is what people want when they say, how can we get that spark back? You're talking about what you had 18, 20 years ago when you didn't have kids, when you didn't have to worry about paying bills, when you weren't sweating out of your ears every night, when you weren't figuring out how to make ends meet, when you didn't have to worry that if you ate a piece of bread that you weren't going to get bloated and blow up, when you were sleeping through the night, when you could go to a party and party at 3 a.m. and then go to work for 6 a.m. That fire? Okay, cool. That fire is gone, baby. However, we can create a new fire, but that's one of the F's. And that fire, that's the fire that people are looking for. They are looking for this intense stuff that they see on TV, that initial spark that they had when they first met their partner. You know, they're like, oh, the chemistry, it's literally chemistry. Like literally, it's your brain is done with that. And sometimes that limerence can last for 3 years, which is why we say long-term relationships are from 3 years and above. Because if you've made it to 3 years and you still like this person, because this is usually 6 months to 3 years, is usually when that spark starts to wane sometimes. And you're like, oh my God, we used to have sex 5 times a week, 7 times a day. What happened? Firefighters. What happened? And then there's the flow stage, right? So this is when your sex feels, or your connection feels easy, right? It feels natural. This is when people are like, I want it to be more natural. This is when you feel more emotionally attuned, like that exercise you were doing up here when you felt really connected with your partner. The flow stage happens when couples feel more comfortable with their sexual relationship. They may not be having as much sex as they sought out to have, but they are pleased with the sex that they are having. This is a great stage to be in when it comes to sex. You're pleased with the sex you're having. And then there's the fusion stage, which this is where that deep intimacy comes, and this is where people use more than their genitals to have sex. So these are your people who cry during sex because it's such a deep and endearing and emotional experience, right? This is where they have that full body and soul connection. It feels more like a spiritual experience for them. Which one are you? How effed are you? Some of you are neither of those. You're the other F. You're in frustration. And I didn't put that one up there for real. So frustration is the other F. This is where the outcome, the expectations and the outcomes don't match. I'm frustrated. Like I expect one thing sexually, but I'm not getting that. Like what the hell is going on? And this is where most long-term couples are. They wind up in the frustration. Now between fusion, frustration, flow, and fire, just like desire, these all shift depending on what's going on in the relationship, what stage you're in, These all shift at different points in the relationship. And so one thing that we have to do to figure out which F you want to be in is you have to talk to your partner. You have to use your mouth. Not like that, like this. You have to talk to your partner to figure out, of course, like, what are we going to do next? What are we going to do next? I'll tell you what we have to do next. If we are going to get on the same page in relationships when it comes to sex and pleasure, we have to know what's pleasurable for us. And I mean pleasurable outside of sex. I was about to say something about a cookie again, and I'm guessing that's one of the things that brings me pleasure, because I was going to say, like, what's your favorite cookie? But that must just be a me thing. What are some things that bring you pleasure outside of sex? Music, same. Musical exercises. Dancing. That was Anna Marie? Dancing. Massage. Okay. We got to get real serious about this. If we want to ignite a spark in our relationship, right, and if we want to have better sex, we've got to get real serious about pleasure. Because we don't just have sex because we have genitals. People want to have sex because they want to experience pleasure and connection with their partner. However, one of the largest research studies in the world has been conducted, in the world has been conducted, and we found something wild. We found that there's a pleasure gap that exists between men and women. How often do y'all think men orgasm when they have sex?
Every time.
Somebody say every time. Anybody say something different? How often? 98 most. Anybody else? How often do you think women orgasm? 3%. 3%. Maya is killing it. Somebody said 30%? So basically the pleasure gap showed that there is a large gap between how often a man orgasms every time he has sex with a woman, which is 95% of the time, and how often a woman orgasms when she has sex with a man, which is 65 or less % of the time. When a woman has sex with a woman, she orgasms 86% of the time. When a man has sex with a man, he orgasms 86% of the time. When a woman masturbates, she orgasms 88% of the time. So in all of the research, what we found is that men are going to orgasm wherever. If it's in a house, in a shack, if they're with a man, a woman by themselves, they're going to orgasm. But what we're finding is women are not. Why do you think so? Too much nervousness. What else? Safety. We're going to talk about that.
It takes longer.
It takes longer, like that. Somebody said something else. They don't know. They don't know what's pleasurable. Embarrassed. Yes. All of those things contribute to the pleasure gap. And we need to close this. So if we're talking about igniting the spark, having sex, making sure our partners want to have sex with us, then we have to make sure that we are prioritizing their pleasure. But guess what? For people with the vulva, I got to tell you, your pleasure is your responsibility. I'm sorry, I know you got a whole penis right there, but your pleasure is your responsibility. So it's really, I'm gonna say this, it's really not your partner's responsibility to make sure you orgasm or you enjoy the sex you're having. However, if you have a partner who cares and prioritizes your pleasure, they are going to make sure that sex is also pleasurable for you as much as it is for them. And if they are not, guess what? Y'all got to figure it out, or you got to just chunk them to deuces. Don't care how long y'all been together. I'm kidding. So we're going to close the pleasure gap. One of the things that we found is one of the reasons why women aren't orgasming as much. One of the main reasons that this study found was that there is not enough emphasis on the clitoris, right? There is not enough emphasis on the clitoris during sex. People forget about the clitoris. People focus on the vagina. They just having this kind of sex. Church clap. You're not gonna orgasm like that, okay? And when we talk about needing attention, they're not getting enough attention for arousal. Like if she's already experiencing dryness and all this perimenopausal stuff and you just won't do this, no, we can't do this. And they're not getting enough attention because what does sex look like for a lot of people? We'll talk about this in a minute, but what does it look like for a lot of people? We'll talk about it in a minute. What is the clitoris? What's the clitoris? The power button. On. The clitoris is not just what you see with your eyes. I'm going to show you my clitoris. Not my real one, but this is, and many of you may not be able to see this, but this is what the full anatomical clitoris looks like. It's about 3 to 4 inches, and it extends inside of the body. This is the part we see, the power button. This is the glands, and this is homologous to the penis. So the clitoris is the female sexual organ, not the vagina. This is the pleasure center for a person with a vulva, okay? So it has a shaft, right? It has a head, or the glands. It has the legs here. This all extends inside of the body. This is what's ignored and why many people are not, or I'm gonna leave the clit up here so y'all can look at it. Why many people are not orgasming during sex, because they are missing out on the clitoris. And when I say they're missing, I'm not talking about those people that do this. Y'all know what that is. That DJ booth in the clitoris that they do for 4 seconds, 10 seconds before they want to penetrate. No, we got to get rid of that. But that is your clitoris. That is what a clitoris looks like. And what we need to do is we need to put more attention and more focus on the clitoris so that we can close this pleasure gap and so that people can experience more pleasure, so that they can no longer ask about how do we start the spark. You know how to do it. You got the fire starter right here. You already starting fires. Why are you asking me how to increase the spark? Myths. Is this a myth or a fact? Most women orgasm from vaginal penetration. Myth or fact? Myth. The study showed that a lot of people didn't know this. Most people think that if they just stick a penis in a vagina, that a woman is going to orgasm, because the penis is just that much, it's that powerful. You just need to do that. All women orgasm every time they have sex. We already know that's a myth. So more than 80% of women don't orgasm during partner sex. And when they do, they orgasm maybe 65% or less time. And some women don't orgasm at all. And another one of the reasons we found is because there's not enough focus on the clitoris. And again, the clitoris extends inside of the body. So we have to focus on the clitoris on the outside of the body and the inside of the body. We need more focus on the clitoris, y'all. So you have a piece of paper with you. We're talking about pleasure. I asked you all, what did you know about pleasure and what was pleasurable to you? One of the exercises I do with my clients, because usually I'll ask them, I'm like, what do you like? What turns you on? And they're like, especially when they're sometimes new and they're in there with their partners, they're like, I don't know, I don't really know. So I'm like, okay, lay down. Just kidding. We are going to figure out what turns you on. So this is what I want you to do, is just draw a person on your paper. And you are going to draw a line on different body parts on what you like. So if you like your arm massage, and it doesn't have to be sexual, it's just what feels good. If you like your temples rubbed, draw a line, and you can make a stick figure, draw a line and write this down. If you like your butt pinched, if you like your knees massaged, if you like your ankles licked, if you like but draw a line, right, you get it, and write down what you like. What body part do you like? Just a stick figure. And if it's your belly button, you can put lick belly button. If it's your ear, you can put bite ear, nibble ear, press here, touch here. So whatever you like. Anybody need some paper? Everybody have some paper and a pen? What we find from doing pleasure mapping or what body mapping is, 1, a lot of people don't know what turns them on, and 2, most partners don't know what turns their partners on. They just doing what they think is pleasurable. Because this worked on Jackie, this worked on Sheila, this worked on Melissa. Why won't this work on you? Well, we all have the same body parts, but they're all structured differently. They're all structured differently. We respond differently to different types of stimulation. So write down, where do you like to, what's pleasurable to you? And then switch it if you have a partner. Let your partner see. And then talk about whether or not this is something that you knew, right? Did you know this? Oh my God, I never knew you liked your traps bitten. That's why they're so big. I'll bite your traps from now on. All right, but I'm going to tell you something. What is the secret? What's the secret? What do you think is the secret to better sex? Better connection. Okay.
Emotional connection.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes. So when we're asking about secrets, are they actually secret? One of the secrets is to use your mouth. Get in there. Before your body. A lot of people come in and they just bring them, here, I am. Take it. Have it. But we have to use our mouth first. And what I mean when I say use your mouth, one of the issues that would come up whenever I would see a client is I would say, well, you know, what are y'all talking about when it comes to sex? It was like, we have sex. I was like, okay, what are y'all talking about? Like, how do y'all talk about it? Most of them did not talk about sex. People were having sex, but they weren't talking about sex. And that's one of the bigger issues is that most of us are having sex, but we don't even talk about sex. We don't talk about what we like, what we dislike, because we don't really have the language for it. And we've been taught and shamed about having and owning our own sexuality for so long that it's just repressed in us. And we're just like, okay, I'm gonna just go on with this. And 10 years later, we're gonna be on the couch, on the green couch, because we're not having sex no more, because we never talked about these issues. We never talked about what we liked. I never talked about what I wanted because I really didn't even feel comfortable saying it, because all my life I was taught that sex is for the man. It's not for me. It's for his pleasure, not mine. Say what? We got the clitoris. How is it just for him? How many nerve endings are in the clitoris? Originally, we thought 8,000, but there's some brand new research. So 8,000 was actually a study that was done on cows. We've got some brand new research, and that research tells us that there are over 10,000 nerve endings in the clitoris. This thing has over 10,000 nerve endings. And its sole function is pleasure. There is a very small function of reproduction in the clitoris, but very small. But the sole purpose of the clitoris is pleasure. So use your mouth. These are the Use Your Mouth Sex and Relationship Conversation Starter cards. This is an actual couples deck. And I created these cards because couples would come in and they wouldn't know how to talk about sex. So I started asking them questions to take home and ask each other. And then they would come back in session and they would say, oh my gosh, Shamyra, let me tell you what this said. We had the best sex after we had this question. This question kept us up for 2 days. I remember my husband and I, we did it, and we spent a long time on one of the cards. I think we spent about a couple days on one of the cards. And people would be like, oh, we brought these on our date night, right? And so these are some sex and relationship conversation starter cards because, again, many of us don't have the language to talk about sex. Many of us therapists will say, you got to communicate, but what are we saying? What do you want us to say? I made it easy for people.